Every woman in an abusive relationship hits a moment where she whispers, I cannot keep doing this. And the second the truth escapes, fear rushes in and smothers it with the first excuse that feels safer than change. You don't deny the pain, you deny the consequences of acknowledging it. You are not naive, you are not blind, you are not weak. You are terrified of what happens if you stop pretending this is survivable. You cling to excuses because they feel like life jackets, but they're really anchors. They do not keep you afloat, they keep you from leaving the ship that is already sinking. Today, we are cutting the ropes, one by one, gently but truthfully, because every excuse you hold is really a story your nervous system created to keep you alive inside something that was breaking you. And you are finally ready to hear the truth underneath. I'm Megan Webster, an abuse recovery coach, a trauma-informed strategist, and the woman a narcissist hopes to never meet twice. This is the Narcissist's Worst Nightmare podcast, where survival ends, your healing begins, and you rebuild the woman you were never allowed to be. This episode is for the woman still in it, the woman trying to leave it, and all of the women healing from it. You are the woman who knows she deserves more but keeps getting pulled back into the cycle. The woman who has 1,000 reasons why she's stuck and one undeniable truth underneath every single one of them. She's scared to leave the life that broke her. What I will be sharing today is going to drop the chain. We are going to dismantle all of the excuses that keep you chained to the cycle, not to shame you, but to free you. I can't leave because of the kids. This is the excuse that feels the most righteous because it disguises itself as protection. But your kids already know. They feel the tension when they pretend it's nothing. They hear the shift in your voice when he walks in. They watch your shoulders tighten and your energy retreat. Children don't need the details. Their bodies understand what their minds cannot articulate yet. And the longer they stay in that environment, the deeper the imprint on them become. You're not holding the family together, you're holding the damage together. And you're doing it completely alone. Your children do not need two adults under one roof. They need one adult who's safe, regulated, present, and not disappearing right in front of them. The day you leave isn't the day the family breaks, it's the day that the cycle breaks, and your kids finally get to see what love looks like when it's not coded in fear. It's not that bad. This is the lie that gets you through the day, not because it's the truth, but because the alternative feels impossible. Minimizing has become a coping strategy when acknowledging the full truth becomes overwhelming to carry. You shrink the harm because naming it would mean you'd have to make decisions that you do not feel ready to make. So you say things like it's not that bad, it was just a bad night, he's been trying, other women have it worse. But your body exposes that lie every time. Your chest tightens before your brain forms the words. Your stomach drops at the sound of his footsteps. Your mind goes blank when his tone changes. Your sleep disappears. Your peace evaporates. Abuse is not always loud. Sometimes it's in the slow erosion of your identity, the way your joy fades, the way you start editing yourself down to someone who you barely recognize. If you have to defend it, justify it, explain it, or hide it, it is already that bad. They'll change. This excuse is not rooted in delusion. It's rooted in hope, and hope is powerful. You're not waiting for him to evolve. You're waiting for him to go back to pretending who he was at the beginning. You're trying to resurrect the version of him that never actually existed. And that is real heartbreak, the beginning of the performance, not the relationship. The real man shows up in the repeat behaviors, the one he said he'd never do again. If he wanted to change, he would have changed the first time your voice cracked from crying. He would have changed when he saw fear in your eyes. He would have changed when he promised he would. Instead, he cycled. He soothed, then he snapped. He apologized, then he repeated. He mimicked remorse without ever choosing responsibility. You are not in love with him. You are in love with the potential. And the potential is the most dangerous addiction because it keeps you bonded to a fantasy while the reality continues to harm you. I don't have the money to leave. Financial fear is not an excuse. It's a weapon that was used against you. When someone chips away at your confidence long enough, you start believing you're incapable of standing on your own. He didn't just control the finances, he controlled the narrative. He's made you believe that survival without him was impossible, and that belief freezes you long before the money ever does. Here's the truth. You've been surviving the hardest season of your life inside that home. You manage more than any woman ever should have had to. You stretch yourself thin emotionally, physically, mentally. And somehow, you still show up every day. Rebuilding your life without him will not break you. It'll free the part of you that's been suffocating under his control. You do not need the entire financial roadmap. You need one step, and then the next, and then the next. And those steps only become possible when you're no longer being psychologically starved. I don't want shared custody or shared parental time. This is not irrational, it is primal. The thought of handing your children to the same person who traumatized you feels like you're abandoning them. You're terrified of what happens when you're not there to buffer the emotional damage. You've spent years shielding them in ways they will never fully understand. The idea of them spending time alone with him feels like throwing them into a storm that you've been standing in front of. But staying does not actually protect them. It just delays the inevitable. They're absorbing the dysfunction every single day. They're watching you get smaller. They're learning love is something you endure, not something that supports you. Children do not need a perfect home. They need one emotionally healthy parent, one person who chooses truth over image, stability over chaos, healing over illusion. Shared custody isn't the end of their safety. Staying in the home where their nervous system is constantly on alert, that is what keeps them unsafe. How did I end up here? This is not confusion. It is shame dressed up as reflection. You are replaying every moment trying to pinpoint the exact second you should have known better. You wonder how someone as strong as you, as smart as you, as capable as you, got caught in something like this. Abusers do not choose weak women. They choose compassionate women, loyal, empathetic, women who see the best in others even if it costs them, women who are willing to try, repair, soothe, and stretch themselves for the sake of harmony. You didn't end up here because something was wrong with you. You ended up here because someone weaponized your goodness. Shame convinces you that leaving means admitting that you failed. This is not failure. This is adaptation. You coped, you survived, and now you are waking up. Healing does not ask, how did this happen to me? Healing says, it happened and I am not staying here. I don't want to start over. This fear stems from loneliness, a trauma bond that makes silence feel like abandonment even when the silence is safety. You're not afraid of being alone. You're afraid of meeting yourself without the constant distraction of chaos. You're afraid of the nights where your nervous system shakes because you don't know how to exist without bracing. You're afraid of losing the fantasy you built to survive the reality. But here's what you haven't fully let yourself acknowledge. The loneliness that you ever felt was inside of that relationship. You were alone long before you considered leaving. Starting over doesn't mean you're alone forever. It means you're alone long enough to remember who you were before the relationship taught her to doubt herself. And the real reason you stay, the one you're not even willing to say out loud. All of these excuses have different words, but the root is always the same. You don't trust yourself anymore. Abuse doesn't just hurt you, it rewires you. It disconnects you from the instincts that once kept you safe. You start doubting your perceptions because he trained you to. You start questioning your reactions because he punished you for them. You start second-guessing your intuition because every time it warned you, he convinced you the warning was a problem, not his behavior. The real reason you stay isn't fear of leaving. It's fear of leading yourself. Fear of choosing wrong again. Fear of rebuilding. Fear of stepping into a life where you no longer have someone dictating the rules, even if the rules destroyed you. Leaving isn't just a physical separation, it is a psychological rebirth. It's walking into a life where you are responsible for yourself again. And when you spent so many years being told that you cannot trust your own mind, that responsibility feels heavy. But you're wrong about what you can't handle. You have already survived the hardest season, the one where you are trapped. Everything after that is an expansion, not a collapse. I once had a client who told me, I am not staying because I love him. I'm staying because I don't trust myself without him. And she really meant it. They had a very long marriage, like 40 years. She was not lacking strength. She was brilliant, capable, successful, but she had felt emotionally dismantled for a really long time. Every time she cried, he called her dramatic. When she was asking questions just about his day or something simple, he said she was paranoid. Every time she expressed her hurt or an emotion, he insisted she was overreacting. So after such a long time of enduring that, she no longer believed her own perception of reality. She stopped trusting her instincts and started trusting his reactions instead. She didn't ask, why didn't I leave? She asked, what if the problem is me? And that is the cruelty of abuse, right? It flips the narrative so completely that you become the villain in your own story. You just want to be able to blame something or someone, and the only person you're really having a conversation with is yourself. She didn't leave because she felt ready. She left because she finally understood this one truth. If you have to lose yourself to keep a relationship, the relationship was not love. It was captivity. If I leave, everything will fall apart. You're not wrong. Everything will fall apart. But the things that collapse are the things that were built out of your suffering. So when you leave and the routine shift and the identity cracks open and the trauma bond begins its violent unraveling, you lose the illusion before you gain the truth. You grieve the fantasy harder than you grieve the person. You feel like pieces of you are breaking off, but those pieces are made from survival, not from self. The collapse isn't destruction, it's clearing. It's the dismantling of the life you built inside the fire. And once the smoke clears, the rebuild begins. What if I regret leaving? The thought doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Every woman wrestles with this question, even the strong ones. You're terrified of waking up one day thinking you made a mistake, not because you miss him, but because the trauma bond conditioned you to create what hurt you. The regret doesn't come from leaving. It comes from abandoning yourself. From losing years to trauma that should have been your freedom. From teaching your children that pain is normal, that love must be earned, and chaos is a lifestyle. The only thing that the women I work with regret is staying longer than they should have. Leaving didn't start on the day you walked out. It started long before your feet ever crossed the doorway. It started on the night where your body went quiet, not numb from fear, but numb from truth. You sat in a room that was supposed to be your home and realized you felt like a guest in your own life. And probably for the first time in a long time, you didn't try to talk yourself out of that feeling. You let it be honest. This is not for me. This is where I survived, and that's all there is to it. Your soul left the relationship long before your body did. That's the part most women never realize. Leaving begins internally. By the time you physically go, you're simply catching up to the part of you that already walked ahead to lead you out. People assume the hardest part is leaving, but the real intensity arrives once you're out. When you're finally alone with yourself without the noise, the tension, or the constant emotional negotiation. The moment the chaos stops, you're confronted with the woman you became just to survive. And meeting her without judgment becomes the foundation of everything you'll rebuild next. You start to notice how much of your identity was shaped by avoiding conflict. You will see the ways you soften your voice so he wouldn't twist your words. You realize how many opinions you swallowed, how many needs you buried, how many parts of yourself were muted to keep the peace. The silence after leaving feels unfamiliar because you've never known yourself without fear humming in the background. Rebuilding is not a journal prompt or something cute on fucking Instagram. Rebuilding is about creating a new life out of nothing. It's reclaiming the parts of you that were never given enough air. You reconnect with the woman who knows what she likes without apologizing. The woman who doesn't tense when footsteps approach. Who trusts her own voice. Who feels laughter throughout her whole body, not as a performance, but from enjoyment. The woman who wakes up without scanning the emotional temperature of the room. There's going to be this moment for you. It might be weeks, months after leaving where you catch your reflection and you see something that you haven't seen in years. Not the version built from survival, but the version who has finally had room to breathe. That moment isn't a rebirth, it's a return. Our membership was built for this phase, not the crisis of leaving, but for the identity you reclaim afterwards. For the woman learning to live without bracing. For the woman reconnecting with her nervous system. For the woman discovering who she is without fear shaping every decision. Rebuilding is not about starting over. It's about stepping into the life you were always meant to have once the war inside your home finally ended. Your excuses kept you alive, but your truth will set you free. And the moment you stop negotiating with your pain and start listening to the party that's been whispering truth all along, everything is going to change for you. You do not need confidence, a perfect plan, or permission. You need one honest moment where you choose yourself even if your voice shakes. Everything after that is your becoming. If this episode cracks something open in you good, that means you are waking up. Please share this with another woman who needs it. Hit follow so you never miss an episode. Send me a DM on Instagram and tell me what landed the hardest for you. And I know that you're ready to rebuild your life after abuse. The RRR membership is where your healing truly begins. Your peace, your identity, your future starts there.